again, keeping the light on the same issue, but sort of again making it a bit more macro, we're seeing a rise in Islamophobia within India as well. We've seen the Muskan video. We've seen a lot of these sort of lynchings that have been happening. And somehow it hasn't been internationalized the way that a lot of other things across the globe end up being. Particularly when it's right there in front of you. There's a lot of footage available. There's a lot of content there available as well. Obviously, OIC being this conference of Islamic countries, do you think this could potentially be a time to internationalize exactly what's going on? Because for a lot of people, they're saying this is basically the entry point to a potential genocide that could happen if things keep on going in the same way. And we've seen that happen across the globe. Previously, when genocides have happened, this is where this is always the starting point, right? And so how important do you think, we've been talking about Islamophobia very strongly. This government has been definitely very vocal about it. Pakistan's Foreign Office have been very vocal about it. We've seen the designation of 15th March as the International Day Against Islamophobia as well. Do you think that will come under discussion at this OIC as well?
Certainly, it would come under discussion. And since India clearly is a red blinking light when it comes to Islamophobia on the world map today, there's going to be a focus as well. And the actions taken by the Indian government, and that is certainly inspired by the Hindutva ideology over the past at least 2 years, would be the center of attention, would be flagged, would certainly be taken note of by the OIC. And it is expected that the whole catalog of those actions would not only be condemned and brought to book, but OIC, as again with 57 member states, is going to make very strong pronouncements on rejection of all these actions, and ensuring that the Muslim minority in India is given its due rights, because OIC is the natural leader on Islamophobia. With most of its member states being Muslim majority states, it has not only a constitutional in terms of its charter, but a moral and political duty to ensure protection of rights of Muslim minorities in non-member states. There is a whole agenda item. And under that rubric, we hope strong outcomes. And it is also opportune that this meeting is taking place on the heels of this adoption of the UNGA, unanimous adoption of the UNGA resolution on declaring 15th of March as the Combating International Islamophobia Day internationally. Again, this is the right time to have this discussion, and not only to have this discussion, an opening has been provided by this resolution. There are other facets and dimensions, including the geographical dimension where India comes into focus on Islamophobia, and it is definitely realistic, natural and rightful to expect that there would be discussion, there would be outcomes.
Right. And I think you have to look at the bigger picture also on this. Yes, you're right. And as Rizwan said, I think the biggest demonstration and concern about Islamophobia, that's what we are, right now watching in what is happening in our eastern neighbor. And going beyond that, I think what we are doing, the effort that Pakistan has undertaken through OIC, and you mentioned the International Day to Combat Islamophobia, the resolution that has been adopted by consensus by the UN General Assembly, and OIC was the real force behind this. So, we got the OIC together to bring this case at the international level, at the UN in New York, and we were able to get this successfully. This is not, it needs to be understood that we are not, carrying any confrontationist approach. This is something that, yes, we are trying to create awareness about the dangers of Islamophobia, and India is a prime example, but what we are trying to promote and advocate is greater harmony and understanding and interreligious harmony. This is the crux of the resolution also that has been adopted at the UN General Assembly. So this is a positive thing, and this is a positive vibe that Pakistan has led at the global forum at the UN, and I think that is why we see that all regions, from Europeans to Africans, Latin Americans, Asians, they came together, and there was unanimous support for this resolution. Only I think one country was clearly on the defensive, and that was India, and for obvious reasons, because
Right. Do you think with this, because Pakistan was a very key sponsor of this particular resolution, probably my question will be divided into two parts. Why do you think this was so incredibly important at this point in time? I do understand there's a global change in terms of how a lot of things are changing across the globe, and Islamophobia is definitely on the rise. But why do you think it was important for Pakistan to first of all actively work on this? And then secondly, do you think such a resolution, having such a day, could potentially support the cause, not just in India, but we're seeing that happen across the globe. There's a certain way that Muslims have been treated over the past few decades, and obviously there's growing resentment within the Muslim world as well because of that. So how important do you think this particular resolution and this particular day, now that it's been passed unanimously at the UN, has been?
Because the issue has been there, and it was kind of exacerbated in the wake of 9/11.
Right.
The discrimination towards Muslims, and even leading to sometimes violence and exclusion. Lots of problems were cropping up. In Europe, in the West, but elsewhere as well. And India is a prime example in recent years, the way Islamophobia has come up. So it was being discussed also, but not in the manner that it would really gain the attention of the international community. So this is what the Prime Minister has been able to do, especially his address to the UN General Assembly in 2019, where he focused largely, apart from Kashmir, he focused on Islamophobia. And, he reflected the sentiments of not only the Muslims in Pakistan, but all over the world, that, we want the international community to understand our feelings towards our beloved Holy Prophet. And, why is it that we want, full respect that is due. So that was the turning point, and then we built on that, and we were able to forge consensus in OIC and at the global level at the UN. And as I was saying earlier, I think yes, it is a resolution which talks about Islamophobia, but when you look at the text of the resolution, it clearly says we want to promote respect for all faiths and religions. This is very important, because
Right.
if you don't do that, you cannot have your objective with regard to Islamophobia. So the objective is to create awareness and to promote dialogue and interfaith and intercultural, intercivilizational harmony. I think this is the positive thing that Pakistan has brought.
Right.